Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin. Check. You already know. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Blue today, everybody. This is a college football channel. So if you like college football, hit the like and subscribe button. It's that simple. Also, send gear to represent your team and be a part of my background forever. All you have to do is send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. Well, the kids are back in school, and of course, I do have some busy days, so fair warning, you're going to see some car videos this week, including this one. Sometimes they're actually pretty good, sometimes not so much. So I'll let you decide whether this is a good one or a bad one. And today, I want to talk about people calling me an SEC hater. I find that actually hilarious because, number one, I'm not an SEC hater. I just speak the truth. These same people forget that last year in 2021, I was singing the praises of Georgia. Why? Because they were the most dominant team that I've seen since the 2019 LSU. And this year, I incorrectly predicted Alabama to have one of their best teams that they've had in quite a while and win the national championship. Of course, I've been wrong about that. But that right off the bat proves that I'm not an SEC hater. It just so happens this year the truth isn't on the side of the SEC. This year the SEC is not very good, especially the SEC West. Listen, I hold the SEC to the same accountability as all the other conferences. So whenever they're having a down year, I talk about them having a down year. It all started with week 1. Florida upsets number 7 Utah at home, and they get bumped from non-ranked all the way up to number 12. That was insane. And of course, this was the same week that LSU got beat by Florida State, and everybody forgot about that by week 10. And the following week, number 12 Florida gets beat by number 20 Kentucky at home, 26-16. So that made that ranking look laughable. And oh yeah, number 19 Arkansas beats number 24 Cincinnati at home, 31-24. So all of a sudden, Arkansas looks like a great team, and we all know that Arkansas finished 6-6. And that Kentucky team that beat Florida at home, yeah, they finished 7-5, so they're not that great either. On to week 2, number 1 Alabama beats Texas on the road by 1 point. Texas turns out to be a decent team, 8-4, but instead of saying, well, maybe Alabama's not as good as what we thought they were, it turned into, man, Texas is really, really good this year. Watch out, they can make the playoffs. On to week 3, number 24 Texas A&M beats number 13 Miami, who ends up finishing the regular season 5-7, 17-9 at home. We all know that Texas A&M being ranked is laughable at this point, but in week 4 they follow that up by beating number 10 Arkansas, who finished the regular season 6-6, 23-21. Of course, number 11 Tennessee beats number 20 Florida, a 6-6 Florida, 38-33 at home. They did have multiple opportunities to blow Florida out, but they kept Florida in the game. And this started the buzz of Tennessee and how good Tennessee was. Week 5, number 1 Georgia barely survives on the road to Missouri, 26-22. Missouri better than people expected, though. 6-6, they will go to a bowl. But this proves that the Georgia this year not as dominant as the Georgia of last year, because Georgia rolled through their schedule last year. Nobody got even close. Number 2 Alabama beats number 20 Arkansas, who finished 6-6 on the road, 49-26. So that looks like a great win because Arkansas is ranked in the top 20. Number 14 Ole Miss beats number 7 Kentucky, 22-19. Ole Miss must be a great team, except exactly what I predicted, them falling off at the end because they had a tough ending to their schedule happen. They finished 8-4. And Mississippi State beats Texas A&M, who finished 5-7. They're a terrible team, 42-24. So that warrants Mississippi State getting ranked, right? Yeah, that's how it works. Week 6, number 1 Alabama survives a bad Texas A&M, 24-20 at home. I will give the AP poll some credit there. They dropped Alabama to number 3 because of that. Number 8 Tennessee wallops number 25 LSU, 40-13 in Death Valley. And South Carolina beats number 13 Kentucky. Why Kentucky was ranked at number 13, I don't know. 24-14. South Carolina is an 8-4 team this year. Kentucky's a 7-5 team this year. Hindsight 2020. This shouldn't have been an upset. But because of that number 13 beside Kentucky, of course, massive upset. On to week 7. This is the week that kind of changed things drastically for the SEC. Number 6 Tennessee beats number 3 Alabama 52-49 at home. Oh, Tennessee must be one heck of a team. They beat mighty Alabama. Well, survived mighty Alabama at home. Problem is, Alabama's having a down year, and it was a home game. They should have obliterated Alabama. Week 8, LSU beats number 7 Ole Miss. That gives them a great win, a top 10 Ole Miss, right? Well, Ole Miss finished the regular season 8-4, so that win's not that great. 45-20, it was a shellacking, but that's when LSU started to get some major buzz. And the playoff rankings aren't out at this time, but I tell you what, the playoff committee started losing their minds when LSU did that. Oh man, here comes LSU. Week 9, number 3 Tennessee beats number 19 Kentucky 40-46 at home. Kentucky not as good as what we thought they were going to be. 7-5 is what they finished. Number 15 Ole Miss beats Texas A&M. oh, that means we were right about Ole Miss. They're pretty good. On the road, 31-28, except Texas A&M is a 5-17. No, they're not as good as we thought. The complete opposite of what they thought, actually. Missouri goes on the road and beats number 25, South Carolina, 23-10. That one actually surprised me because I thought South Carolina was the better team. Not a shameful defeat. Missouri is a bowl team, but it did shock me just a little bit. Week 10, the big showdown. Number 3, Georgia beats number 1, Tennessee, 27-13 at home. Tennessee never should have been ranked number 1. That should have not happened. But because they beat Alabama, that warranted them being ranked number 1. In the first playoff rankings, LSU came out as number 10. And of course, they beat number 6 Alabama 32-31 in overtime in Death Valley. Oh man, that solidifies what we thought. LSU's the top 10 team. They beat mighty Alabama at home. Yes, it took overtime and they survived, but still, mighty Alabama, that's the big deal. See, that's the problem with the rankings. Alabama is overblown. So when Tennessee beat Alabama, that was blown up out of proportion. And of course, when LSU beat Alabama, that also was blown up out of proportion. Week 11, number 7, LSU beats Arkansas, survives Arkansas, a 6-6 Arkansas on the road, 13-10. That right there should have warned you that LSU was being overhyped. Vanderbilt goes on the road and beats the top 25 Kentucky, 24-21, and that proves that Kentucky never should have been ranked. Week 12, number 1, Georgia beats Kentucky, 16-6 on the road. Sloppy game. It was never in doubt, but Georgia should have blown them out by more than 10 points. South Carolina beats number 5 Tennessee. What a stunner, right? 63-38. I will say the margin of victory was stunning, but South Carolina beating Tennessee at home, not that big of a deal because South Carolina is a better team than what people thought, and Tennessee was being overhyped. Of course, the 6-6 Arkansas beats number 14 Ole Miss at home, 42-27, and Ole Miss starts doing what I thought they would do, and that's collapse at the end of the year. And finally, week 13, Mississippi State, who finished the season 8-4, goes on the road and beats number 20 Ole Miss 24-22, and that completes the collapse of Ole Miss, who finishes 8-4. So yes, they were overrated, overranked. They had a soft schedule, and once they got to the meat of their schedule, they absolutely tanked. And another thing is proven right. Texas A&M beats number 5 LSU 38-23. They didn't just beat them; they shellacked them. Texas A&M a 5-7 team, not even going to a bowl. LSU finishes the regular season 9-3, but that confirms that LSU was being overhyped. What they wanted to do is they wanted to keep LSU as high as possible. That way, if they were to upset Georgia, it would make sense to put LSU in the playoffs as a 2-loss champion. They forgot that they lost to Florida State at the beginning of the year, basically a home game, and they forgot that they got blown out by Tennessee. All this falls on the shoulders of making Alabama a bigger win than what it actually was. Alabama was not Alabama this year. I mean, they flat out struggled against Texas A&M at home, got beat by Tennessee, got beat by LSU, just didn't look very good all year. And that's the problem. That's the thing that really made the playoff committee look foolish. But because I keep pointing out this stuff, I'm an SEC hater. You forget all the praise that I've thrown towards Georgia, towards Alabama in the past, because whenever the facts start not backing up the SEC and I start talking about it, that makes me an SEC hater. Listen, I think Georgia is a good team. They deserve that number 1 ranking, but the SEC West is garbage this year. They're beating up on one another, just like the Pac-12 does to each other, just like the Big Ten West does to each other, just like the ACC does to each other, and to some degree, just like the Big 12 does to each other. But whenever it's the SEC, well, because it's the SEC, it's not the same thing. Yes, it's the same thing. The SEC had a down year this year. Just admit it. So y'all let me know in the comments section. After stating my case, do you still think that I'm an SEC hater? Second thing is, in your opinion, do you think that the SEC had a down year this year? You already know my opinion. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.